Hello, and welcome to Section 3, Data Classes and Persistence. This is the first video in this section, and we'll be going over our data classes and actually building them in Java. So our application Fuel Finder actually needs three POJO classes that we'll use for displaying meaningful information in the UI, as well as inserting new data into the application. The first object that we'll be creating will be a user object, which represents a real person using the Fuel Finder app. Users are able to make fill-ups and add stations. So a fill-up cannot be added without a user, and it can't take place without a station. So a user must consist of a unique identifier for it, a username, a password, and the date the user was created. The date the user was created will automatically be populated whenever the user is created inside of the SQLite database. And this field is simply in the class to help us adding extra information about the user if we ever wanted to run a query to find out when the user was added and things like that. The next object is a fill-up, which represents a fuel purchase. Fuel purchases are made by users and they take place at a station. So therefore, the fill-up object must have a user ID field, a station ID field, as well as fields for recording the date the fill-up took place, the fuel type, the cost per gallon, and the number of gallons of gas that are purchased. And our last object is a station object, which represents a real gas station at a local address somewhere. These are added by a user and they allow fill-ups to take place at them. Station object consists solely of a station ID, a station name, a location, and a file path to an optional thumbnail of the gas station. And in a more elaborate scheme, the station object will have several more fields as well as a joining table that references different fuel types that they offer as well as the cost per gallon. So without further ado, let's begin. So first thing that we want to do actually is open this up, and we're going to fix a problem that I noticed I made previously and that we didn't address then. But it's a quick fix. We want to go to main activity. When we renamed the string resources for the labels for our bottom navigation view, I never went and updated them inside of the main activity. So we're going to do that really quick. So select the first one, which would be the fill-up screen, and just start typing in fill-up and allow autocomplete these for you. Next one was stations. The last one was settings. And that's all. Now what we want to do is select the package, hit new, Java class, and the first one we're going to create is a user. Hit OK. We're going to use traditional POJO style, and we're going to actually make all of our fields private and expose them using getters and setters. This is the recommended pattern for POJOs. But for when we add room integration for this, it's not necessary for you to make these private. You can actually make these public, but when you're using traditional POJO style, they recommend you to make them private and expose getters and setters for them. Private string username, private string password, private date. We're going to use the Java util date. I'm going to call this date created, private long ID. Now that we have all of those created, hit Alt and insert. We're going to go to getters and setters. Select all of these. I'm going to choose IntelliJ default getter template. Same thing for setter template. And hit OK. Now we have our default getters and setters created for everything. And now we're ready to create our fill-up object. Call it fill-up. Hit OK. Now we're going to add the two long references for the station as well as the user objects that create the fill-up. So private long ID. This is the ID for the fill-up, so it's uniquely addressable. Private long station ID. Private long user ID. Next, private int number gallons. Private int. We're going to store the price as an integer also, storing as a number of pennies. Price per gallon. And then private string fuel type. Like we did before, hit Alt and insert. Create the getters and setters. Hit OK. That's all we got to do there. Now the last object we need to create is a station object. Select OK. And like we did with the previous object, they're going to all need unique identifiers, so they're all addressable inside of the database. So private long ID. then private string for stationing, private string address, private string file path, thumbnail file path. I'll insert and create our getters and setters, selecting them all. The last thing that I'm personally going to do, just because I like to keep my code section and modular, we're going to create some packages. So the first package we're going to create is activities, and this is where we store our activities. So start selecting all of the activities in the app, then just drag them here, and this is actually going to refactor and update all references to this activity, even inside of our XML layout file, so don't worry about that. The next package that we're going to want to create is one for fragments. We're going to name it fragments. And select all of our fragments, drag them into fragments, refactor. The last package we're going to add, and we're going to call this entities. I'll explain why these are called entities later in another video, but for now we're just going to keep all of our objects or POJOs inside of the package entities. Hit OK. Then we're going to click the user, station, Philip, and drag it under entities. And that's all we need to do for this video.